Nice and hard, good. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. And this week it's time for another subscriber recommended craft video. Ooh, ooh, ha, ha, yeah, yeah.
You losing the plot there, Vanessa?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Lucinda got in touch on Instagram quite a while ago. I don't know how long ago this was. Suggesting I should try and make some UV resin flowers by putting UV resin into water. And I thought it was an interesting idea because I was always under the impression that resin and water absolutely hate each other. They can't mix, they just don't get along. But after a little bit of research, it turns out UV resin specifically can actually handle water. And also a little tip before we get into this, if you've ever created something with UV resin and it's still a little bit tacky, apparently if you submerge it in water and then blast it with a UV light, it'll set it better or something. That's what I've seen online, so you're more than welcome to try that. I don't know, it's something to do with like the vacuum chamber of water or something, I don't know, something scientific. But anyway, let's get into it and try some UV water resin flowers. Okay, so the original video where this craft idea came from was from a channel called Louise Singleton Creations, and it's called UV resin in water ? New resin technique creating resin flowers in water. Nice mouthy wordy title. So I would suggest you go watch that if you want the full over 20-minute long tutorial.
Ooh, sassy.
But anyway, we're gonna start off with a wine glass with some water in. Unfortunately, it's not obviously wine.
He said.
And then we also need some of this, which is a silicone sheet, and we're just gonna cut a little bit off and put it in the bottom of here, just to prevent the resin from actually sticking to the wine glass. I don't think it needs to be obviously perfectly cut out or anything. And then just shove that in there. Yes, and that's gonna act as a nice barrier, but doesn't seem to want to stay at the bottom. How did she get hers to stay right at the bottom? I'm just gonna have a quick look at the video. Right, I think my silicone was a little bit too big. Let's cut that down to a smaller shape, because otherwise it's gonna keep floating to the top. Right, okay, I think I'm happy with that. I feel like a lot can go wrong with this. I genuinely do. There's also a hair in my water, and I wanna get it out if I can. Okay, and then this is where the UV resin comes into it. So we're gonna take our UV resin, if I can open it. Resin opened. Give us a second, I'm gonna have to watch this video just so I know what I'm doing, because I feel like I can easily make a mistake.
But the torch is there ready for when the resin, which I'm just squeezing on gently.
Okay, so I kind of get it. So you're also gonna need a UV torch, which is one of these. Unfortunately, I don't think it oh, look how white my teeth look.
You can see them, huh?
And we're going to drip UV resin onto the surface of this water and then wait for it to kind of start to drip down. And as soon as it starts to drip down and touches this silicone bit at the bottom, that's when you hit it with the UV resin and start to set it. Apparently, according to this video. This could all go wrong, by the way. It could be one of these craft ideas that someone makes look really easy and actually it's almost impossible, because it's happened to us many times before. UV resin on the top. Apparently hers like spread out on the top. Oh wait, there we go. Right. I don't think that's done anything, you know. Also, oh, it has hit the mat. I don't think it's done what theirs did. Theirs kind of fanned out on top of the glass, and mine didn't. How did theirs do that?
What was happening on the top was, as you put your resin in, it starts to and form a film over the top of the water, which you can't quite see at the moment.
They say that they can't see it, like this thin film on top of the water. I can't see it at all. In fact, I don't think I've got a thin film of resin on the top of this water. I'll be shocked if I do. Alright, I need my nail lamp. Okay, so we just wait 2 minutes for this under here. I don't think it's done anything. They're talking about having like this film on top of the water. I can't see a film at all. I know she says that it's like almost invisible and you can't see it, but I can't see anything. I think I've got a stem for the flower, but I don't think I've got the actual flower petals. Also, my nail lamp's absolutely shite. I think I need a new one. The light bulbs just keep falling out of it. Okay, that's been 2 minutes. Still doesn't look any different.
To scoop it out very, very gently. It's got kind of the texture of cling film. It's very delicate, especially around the edges.
Mine hasn't done what theirs has done. Theirs is spread out. I don't know whether it's because of like their specific brand. Has that resin? The resin's actually set. Like I've got the stem, which is absolutely adorable and super cute, and it's perfectly cured, but there's supposed to be a flower attached to this, and I don't know where my flower's gone. Isn't that just like, oh, I don't know what it is, but I like it. But there's supposed to be like a gorgeous kind of cling film flower, very thin layer of resin attached to the top of this this, but mine's missing that. Right, I tell you what, I'll put that to one side for now. This, if we need to, I can work with this and we'll try and do something. But I'm going to try it again and see if I can get this to work. I did everything right though, so I don't understand what else there is to do. Resin on the top. See, it's supposed to be like dispersing on top, but I can't see anything. I know it hasn't worked again. I can't see the actual expansion of it. I don't know why I'm even bothering with this. I know it hasn't worked. I'm going to end up with a very similar thing as to what I've got. I don't know how they've done theirs. I literally don't. Let me just go back and see if I'm missing something.
I can't guarantee that other brands will work, but it definitely works with this one.
See, I've bought a different brand of resin to what this person's got, and I don't think my UV resin works the way they're using it. But you would think UV resin is all the same, wouldn't you? But apparently it's not. They're made differently. Oh, wait. I actually, well, this one's got like a little bit more of a film on. I've just realised. Not enough though. Wait there. I'm going to try. What if I just add some more over the top and we're going to just kind of drizzle it around and see if I can kind of get this to work. I'm determined to get this to work. Mine might just look a bit different. I might end up making a different kind of flower to them. I'm just going to kind of have fun with it and see if I can do something with it. Because I like the idea of creating these things in water. I think that's a very fun idea. But I know I'm not going to get a flower like them. Right, we'll get the nail lamp on it for a couple of minutes. Bake, bake, bake away. See what happens. Okay, that's 2 minutes up. Let's see what's happening with this. Oh, see, that looks really cool. It doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like, but I really like what I've made. Like, how fun is that? It's like super different, isn't it? I have got an idea on how I'm going to get this to kind of look like something and look like a flower, but I think this is a good start and it's a good little base. This wine glass water flower situation, it's not going to work for me because my UV resin doesn't act the way it's supposed to act, or doesn't act the way theirs acts in the water, so it's pointless. I'm never ever going to get there. But I've got a plan B, I've just thought of it, so we'll see if that actually works. Okay, so my idea for this is to get my silicone mat. I'm just gonna pop it on my little work surface, and then I'm gonna get some UV resin and just kind of attempt to spread it out and to make some sort of floral shape and set it this way and then attach it, and I think that'll work. I'm having to basically do it the manual way, but I think we'll get something, because this is what it was supposed to do on top of the water. It was supposed to kind of fan out and you were going to get like a nice film, but obviously that didn't happen for me. And just blast that with my little nail thing and we'll see if I get anything from that. I don't know whether this will work, but it's a little idea I thought of just as a whim. I'm in a non-giving up mood today. It makes a change, I know. Right, okay, let's see if this has done anything. Nice and hard, good. I'm wanting it to be quite flexible and not too rigid. Yes, we can work with this. So this is basically what I was wanting on top of the water, like a film of UV resin, but it didn't happen. But manually, if yours doesn't work, you can actually get some little shapes doing it like this. So then, I'm just thinking, what shall I do to make this look? What am I even making? A flower? But what's it supposed to look like?
Away the sharpness.
Right, I'm just gonna kind of do my own thing with this. I'm gonna take this original one we had. I wanna kind of scrumple this up a little bit. It's surprisingly strong. I can work with this. I know they cut theirs and like made theirs very circular, but I don't think I want to. I think I want mine quite like loose and abstract. I think it'll look a little bit more like a flower. I'm just gonna put a little bit of UV resin on and then attach that there and blast it with the torch. Mine's not gonna look at all like the original, what I was supposed to be making, but I think I'm gonna make a very nice alternative. I think UV resin's really fun to work with too. It's like proper easy and there's a lot of like different things you can actually do with it. It's surprising how much of a versatile material it is, considering regular resin is like really tricky to use. I'll tell you what, it'll be easier just to blast it with my nail lamp. Right, okay, let's see what this is looking like. Perfect, that's fully secure. I'm thinking maybe we could, like obviously you could keep it this way if you wanted to, and like paint it and decorate it and stuff and do whatever you want to do. But I'm thinking it'd be quite nice to add some more things to it. So, grab my UV resin again. Just want to bit of a dollop here and then another one here and just spread these out again. Right, okay, and get these set. Just gonna stick them straight under my nail lamp. Oh, this is easy peasy. I'm just sat around letting a machine do everything for us. It's funny though, because obviously thinking about resin, you think of solid, hard, like very cast objects. I do anyway. I would never have thought to have made like very fragile, thin, sculptural pieces with resin. It just, for me and my thought process, it goes against what resin is about. For me, resin is more of like a heavy, hard casting material. And I suppose it's a laminating material as well. But to make little intricate things like this with it, I don't know, I would have just never ever thought about it. You could actually do so much just having like a silicone mat and pissing around and make shapes and stuff. There's a lot of potential with this idea, and it's actually inspiring us a lot. It's making us think.
Of suffering and death.
And this is one of my favourite things, when something is so experimental, it starts to give you ideas of different things you can do. I don't know, my mind's starting to race. I'm thinking of what else I want to make with UV resin now. And I think I've said it before as well, if you're wanting to get into resin and you're a bit kind of worried and scared about resin, I would always start off with UV resin, because it is just like, it's not that it's like piss easy to use, but it's so much simpler to use than like an epoxy resin or a polyester resin or anything like that. And it just feels less dangerous. You don't have to like mix it with anything. All you need is UV light. And if you don't have UV light, you can always just whack it in the sun and it does exactly the same thing. Take you a bit longer, but invest in a little nail lamp for like 10 quid. Absolutely sorted. You can make jewellery, you can make anything you want. Okay, let's see how these have turned out. Fab. Okay, so I'm thinking, now that we have these two bits, kind of scrunch these up a little bit, and then we can add them to this and create more of a 3D flower. Oh yeah, it's all coming together now. A little more resin on here. Blast it with my torch. Then add a little bit more and add our another one. I just thought as well, I've made this kind of wrong. I should have really painted the first layer and then done a second one and then painted it and then done a third one, because then it would have given it a more kind of sculptural 3D effect, but never mind. So they're all attached, and then I just want to add a big blob of resin into the middle of here, just as kind of the center of the flower. See, this could have all been a disaster if obviously I'd given up because my resin wasn't spreading on the water, but I'm happy I've come up with an alternative. Okay, I think that's fully done now. So here's my little UV resin flower up close. Obviously it doesn't look like a flower yet, but it looks like some sort of kind of plant, doesn't it? And then all we need to do, I'll just get rid of that. In fact, I'm just gonna dry my table. Everything's so wet. I've just deep cleaned the studio, so I'm wanting to keep the place as tidy as I possibly can. It won't last, I know it won't. It never does. Give it a week or two and the place will be an absolute tip again.
Get her, Leslie! Whoa!
So we're getting our little flower, and then I'm just gonna take a bit of black paint and paint this centre bit. I'm just using some acrylics, and then we'll go for a nice pink colour. Oh, my painting job is really, really shockingly bad. And then we can paint the stem green. Obviously, if you wanted to spend way more time on this and make it look a million times better than what mine's gonna look like, you can. This is just a very kind of simple demonstration, I suppose. And there we have it, a little UV resin flower. I know it doesn't look fantastic, it doesn't look very good, but you could obviously add way more detail. You could kind of paint some darker streaks down here and make this flower actually look more like a flower. But mine just, it's just incredibly, incredibly basic, but you understand the kind of concept of it. Like for example, I can't even let that go because it looks really bad, but you could even grab like a little bit of black and just kind of like just run some just little dashes. I should have used a different colour. Oh, I feel like I'm ruining it. Oh, I think I've made it look worse.
How's that possible?
You understand what I mean though, just don't do it in black, please don't do it in black. But if you did that in purple or like a darker pink, that would look quite nice. I've just done a really, really shockingly shit job of that. But I still think it's a very clever idea. I think their original one, if you look at that, they look like nice little poppies and stuff. And again, you look at the state of mine. But if I spent as long as they did on theirs, I reckon I could, like I wasn't far off. I just need to put this in like a little potted thing and just tidied it up a little bit and done a better paint job. And I would have exactly that. So I'm still calling this a win. So I think that just about does it for today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And I know obviously I haven't made anything particularly amazing today, but I think it's been a very fun experimenting day. Obviously I haven't painted this one. I like this one on its own, and I could totally see like including something like this. Imagine a model of like a rainforest or something, and you just add like little UV resin kind of trees and canopies. You could do some like water lilies or something. You could do so many different things with it. I think it's a really interesting, fun little process. So yeah, get yourself some UV resin, get yourself a silicone mat, and just have like a nice fun little experimenting day. See what you can come up with. You might even come up with something slightly better than my gorgeous pink flower. I know it's going to be very difficult for you to top this, but you're more than welcome to try. And a big thank you to Lucinda for suggesting this video, even though I'm pretty sure you suggested it like months ago. If you have any ideas you want me to try, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I do sometimes eventually get around to doing them, but sometimes I forget.
What day is it today?
And I'll see you next week for a brand new video. I'm just wondering, surely this is the same thing that a sunbed's made out of. Like, that's a sunbed, isn't it? Well, that tanners. If I just sit here long enough, or imagine if I sat here really long though, and I just ended up with like a bottom half face tan. That wouldn't be good, would it?